How many book clubs are you a part of?
Just one. Just one. Yeah.
How long have you been a part of it?
I think it started in 2016, I think, is when it started. So what is that? 7 years, 6 years or something like that now?
Oh, it's the same book club that you've gone to?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the rules for joining a book club?
Mine or in general?
Okay, both.
Yeah. I don't know about in general. I don't know what the hell they're going on over there. But for us, it's like it has to be. I mean, you have to show an interest in reading for one, and you have to read the book. Like I know there's a lot of book clubs that they don't read the book, which I find crazy. Like, yeah, it's a thing. Like where people will just be like they're not reading the book, and then the book clubs kind of just disappear, right? Because it's not sustainable if you don't read the book. And usually it's like you have to, amongst us, it's like you have to be recommended, right? Like someone has to know you, from the book club and kind of like bring you in because we just don't, I mean, you have to be vetted. Like I need to know you're going to read the book. Like I need, that's what it's really about. It's like who we're dealing with and being like, oh, does this person like, does he read? Do they read? Does she read? Like, does she actually read the book and want to engage about it? Because there's a lot of people who they don't actually read the book. It's crazy. I know it sounds wild. Like, why would you join a book club and not read the book? But there are a lot of people who do that. It's like they don't.
Dates.
Yeah, maybe they have ulterior motives, or it's like maybe they just want friends and stuff, which is like fine, But read the book too, like.
Okay, so they have to know that, hey, is he cool? Oh, yeah, he's cool. Yeah, okay, you can come in. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Just read the book.
Okay, great. How many people work best as a book club? Like, is there a point where it gets to be too many? Is there a point where it's too little?
I mean, I can only assume if you only have two members, including yourself, it's not really a book club, right? Like, so it has to be more than that. But for us, I mean, we have quite a few members because we have different chapters in different states. So, like, for our West Coast chapter, we have about, how many members do we have in this? It's like 5 or 6, including me. And then we have a Southeast chapter. There's about 10 members there. And then we have an East Coast chapter, and there's about like four members there.
Is this virtual or you're actually meeting in person with some of the people?
So each chapter meets, like, we don't meet with the other groups. The other chapters, we meet amongst ourselves in person. But like, usually about once a year or once every 2 years, like we'll like all read the same book and then hop on a giant Zoom and like all be discussing it and stuff like that. And before the pandemic, we did it 2 years in a row where all the chapters would read this. We'd pick a country. We'd all find a book and vote on it from that country. And we'd read it, and then we'd all fly to that country for a long weekend, and then we would like discuss it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Normally, are they held at a coffee shop or someone's home?
For mine, we usually someone hosts, and then we cook like dinner and have wine. I don't drink, but everyone else has wine. And like, yes, it just becomes like an evening.
Oh, an evening. Okay,
Yeah.
so that would help with the vetting too, because
Yeah.
they're letting in people that they don't totally know.
Yeah,
Okay, that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
Why is it important for you to be in a book club?
I don't know. I just like it. Like, it's like you create a bond with people, and like sometimes when you read a book, you kind of want to talk to somebody about it, hear everybody's thoughts, and like, argue, on the merits of it, and it helps you see a new light on it, stuff you might have missed, and like it can open a book up quite a bit, when you're talking to it with a bunch of other people, and strengthens friendships, obviously. You get to eat a good meal, and like I think it's healthy to be around people and talk to them and have those kind of things. So I think it serves a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to meet people in LA, and it's not based on something maybe superficial, like going to a club where, people ask you, what do you do? And,
Yeah.
this is just based on an author's work, so.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it's fun. Do you read?
I do.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of stuff
Yeah.
in the past. It's
Yeah.
harder to do it with Film Courage, but
Yeah.
during the pandemic, I read a lot of stuff with the Libby app.
Yeah.
And I do miss reading, and I do like books over, but it's been tougher to even see movies.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I do miss it. And I read a book about a woman who worked at a publishing company in New York City, and Salinger was one of their clients. And they were all told, like, oh, when you get Salinger on the phone, tell so-and-so, and he turned out he was really nice.
Yeah.
So he wasn't as mean as this like crazy guy that was made out to be. And it was her life, and she was teenage or a young woman in the 90s, and I miss reading, and I like Alice Munro, Margaret Atwood.
Oh yeah, yeah.
People whose books get banned.
Yeah, yeah.
Judy Blume.
Yeah.
But anyway, so,
bring it back. Keep
yeah,
reading.
there you go,
Yeah,
there you
keep
go.
reading.
How much time do you get to finish the book?
Oh, like in this book club? It's about, depending on what's going on, but it's probably anywhere around 4 to like 6 or 7 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're meeting about once a month and a half and stuff like that. Every once in a while we'll run into like a 2-month thing because, whether it's Christmas, holiday season or whatever, and we're like, okay, well, it's going to take a little bit longer to kind of get through these things. And yeah, but for the most part, on average, it's probably about once every 4 or 6 weeks.
And do you all bring a copy of the book with you to the club, or no?
Depends on how cool the book is. It's like if you're like me, I pride myself in the hardcovers that I buy, so I'll bring it and I'll show it off, and then one of the members will be like, well, I got a better one, and like, and slide it, it's like I see it in there, so we'll do that.
What book should be required reading in a book club?
Ooh, I don't know if there should be required reading. I think there should be required like discussion, because that's what the point of or one of the points of like a book club is, it's like is the discussion and the camaraderie amongst the members, and a safe space for you guys to kind of voice your criticisms and your feelings and on the book and then the literature, but I don't think there should be a like, oh, every book club needs to read this. I think it's a matter of the interest of the members, what they're interested in reading,
Can you take us through sort of a virtual experience of what it would be like to be at this book club? Like if someone's hosting it, are you showing up with your own potluck? You're bringing like, the side dish and a book?
Yeah. So, I'll just take you through like an evening when I'm hosting, and what I do is like, I'll cook a whole meal, so for this one, like for instance, I did what's a meal I did for everyone? I did a lemon pepper chicken, honey lemon pepper chicken with, mixed vegetables and this recipe that they call a Brazilian rice. It's really just like rice with onions and garlic and cilantro kind of, but how it's prepared is a little bit different than people. I don't know if this is like, it might actually not be Brazilian rice, but that's what the title of the recipe said. But, those are the ingredients. And then we'll bring, and then there'll be a dessert. And I did a creme brulee for the dessert. And so, like, what will happen is just like, the people start to show up. There'll be some small talk because we haven't seen each other in a month and, what we've been up to. Then I'll unveil the meal. Everyone will get their meal. They'll pour either the wine or the whatever drinks that we're having, and we'll sit around a table. And, we'll jump it off. And I'll be like, well, so how did you feel about 100 Years of Solitude? And so we'll start discussing it and while we're having a great feast.
So similar to how Jon Favreau did.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing dinner and a book.
Yeah.
In a way. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Nice.
sounds fun.
Yeah, Saturday or Sunday evening most of the time. So.
Has there been any heated arguments over things, or people keep it pretty respectful?
Yeah, no, there's never really been any, that's again why the vetting process, because, we're always like, who's coming up in here, it's like, so no, we all are very civil about it, and, there's exchanges, not like, but there's like differences in opinions, like, when there's like a polarizing book on people who are just like, whether they don't like it or not, but those always make the best discussions, it's just like when a book is very polarizing. So for whatever reason, 100 Years of Solitude was a pretty polarizing book. I loved it. Some other people that didn't really like it for whatever reasons, but that was our best discussion, was talking about that book.
What was the first book that defined your love of storytelling?
Okay, so I don't know, the first book that I picked up, I don't know. I can't say that there was a book that like made me kind of be that. Like I just kind of started picking up reading. Like, I remember there's a book called Wizard's First Rule that I picked up in like when I was really young, and I really liked it. So I was just kind of reading that series, which brought me to Harry Potter, and then I read, some of that series, and then I forgot there's a series of unfortunate events. Like I was reading that, and then I started reading some of the classic Western literature like Frankenstein and the Divine Comedy and the Count of Monte Cristo and stuff like that. And like it just really started, like it was just kind of a process that was like opening up storytelling, I should say. That really started opening it up as a craft to me, and also as something to experience. But yeah, I can't say that there was like one book that made me kind of be like, oh my God, like it was just kind of like slowly building to a point where I was just like, I started recognizing craft, as I was reading it. I can definitely say like when I read Elmer Leonard, I read all his books, and like that kind of, opened up craft a little bit to me, because he has a certain swagger, with his writing and his dialogue and stuff like that. And so because of that, it showed me something, and even how he describes a character or how he doesn't describe a character, like that, opened up to me, because when you just read someone's like all their work, you're going to start picking up on their style,
What tips do you have for others if they'd like to find a book club?
Yeah, I think like I don't want to say like-minded, but you do want like-minded people who like, in the sense of they all like to read. You don't really want to be involved in a book club with people who don't actually like to read, because they're not going to read, And then people to create a space where you feel comfortable talking about the book, so you can express your thoughts and engage with someone, because like that's another muscle to exercise is, expressing your thoughts on something that you read, and what you liked and what you disliked and what you were ambivalent about. It's just like, and then being comfortable to do that. These are all different things, that you need to be able to do. So I would say just having a space where the people involved are allowing for that. You don't want someone who's just going to be like, nah, I don't care about your opinion. Like, it's just like you want a space that's a very welcoming space for that kind of stuff.
And are these mostly fiction books, or are there memoir?
Yeah, I think like memoirs, like, so we're mostly like fiction narrative, is what the backbone is, but we're willing to do like memoir, or historical fiction. Those can be a part of it, but it's working off the backbone of like, it's fictitious narrative, like fiction,
What about political books? Is that something that in the past few years maybe have become less popular? Mm-hmm. Or is that not off the table? Nothing's off the table.
We've never really done a political book.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's just never happened, because we're always kind of like, first we were chasing literary periods where it's like, oh, Victorian, romantic, modern, and stuff like that, and then we were just like, okay, well, like genres, fantasy, horror, sci-fi. Like we were kind of just like doing that. So there's never really been a moment where like a political book even like crossed our minds, because we were just jumping all these other things.
Have you ever participated in a movie club?
No. I've been approached, but I've never really
Someone approached, they hand you a card?
Yeah, they're like, yeah, just like, hey, you want me, but I don't know. It's weird. Like, so I think it's part of the reason why some people don't join book clubs too, because it's just like the commitment of it. They don't like the idea like going into the future, right? They're just like, what, forever, right? It's like you think about that, and I feel like with movie clubs, like that kind of, and and also you don't want it to feel like homework. This is going back to what else you asked, so you don't want. My whole goal with the book club as well is like, I don't want it to feel like homework, because the second something feels like homework or a task, you're not going to want to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like, for a book club, I think that's crucial. You don't ever want this to feel like homework. So try whatever you can use in your power to make it not feel like homework. Utilize that. But I think for a movie club, that is the thing that happened to me. It's like everyone who approaches me, it always feels like it's going to be homework that I have to watch this movie, instead of something where I'm just seeking out and a movie that, I found or someone recommended to me. It's like, even though it's like technically the same thing, it's just like whenever it's like movie club, then it feels like homework. Right? So.
Well, with the book club, they don't require notes, correct? You're just going and talking about it over dinner. Okay.
Yeah. There's no like study guide or anything like that. It's like, we're just having a casual conversation.